relationships. The quality of our life is the quality of the relationships we get to live and experience. A major part of relationships is communication, the quality of our communication, how we express ourselves, how we experience others, how we make other feels around us. And yet the single most greatest problem in communication is the illusion that it actually takes place. How many times each and one of us experienced a desire to be heard, a desire to hear others, and yet experiencing and yet unable to do so, feeling blocked, feeling judged for valid or non-valid reasons. We all been through that because relationships are challenging. It's the most challenging thing and yet the most rewarding. The highest reward we receive here in this world, unless we are able to share it with others, people around us, our loved ones, our friends, our family, what will be really the worth of these achievements? What will be the use of that? It will be pointless, and it will be actually painful to hold on to these things without having the right company to enjoy these facilities, to be alone. So many of us experiencing feeling alone, even though we are around people, many times around the people who are the most close to us. These same people, many times being around them, feels alone. So there is a whole science how to make the best out of all these relationships, or at least to survive. Probably you can agree with me that even that is many times difficult and even impossible. Back in 2020, end of 2019, just before this whole pandemic and new era of communication started, I went through a major breakdown in my life, which you can read about in my website at the About Me section. I'm not gonna get into the details of the story. However, if you are interested, you can check the About Me section on my website. But I do want to bring the essence of what brought me to the place where I'm at now. That very same breakdown in communication, in relationships that I experienced. The thing that led me to that is that core feeling of loneliness, feeling of alienation, feeling of not being understood or heard. Although I was practicing rigorous spiritual life for the past 7 years before that, I felt that somewhat of what I learned, I missed out on the most essential thing. Yes, I was striving to develop and establish my connection with God, with the divine, with the supreme. However, I started noticing that I have a big gap in my ability and capability communicating to the parts and parcels of God. A gap in communicating my needs, communicating to myself what's happening for me within, understanding what's happening deep inside my heart. Although that gap was extremely painful to experience, I am thankful for that because it led me to this new path, the path that I'm incorporating and deepening my understanding more and more in the past year and a half. Path of transformative communication or personal growth, which spiritual life is based on. However, it's so easy to get entrapped with the externals and forget what actually makes relationship flourish, what supports us in relationships, and what helps us to support others in relationship to us. In course of that breakthrough, what helped me a lot is reading the book Relationships That Work by Dr. David B. Wolfe. Reading the book and getting acquainted with the different tools and principles of transformative communication helped me to turn that coin upside down and look, how am I responsible and how am I capable of transforming my relationships, transforming my most triggering points in relationships to others and to myself by applying these different tools and ultimately living them. In my journey across the book in the past year, I noticed how helpful that is regardless of anyone's background in life. The book is not just theoretical material that you read, but it's highly experimental and engaging. Pretty much from the very first time I read the book about a year and a half ago and doing some of the exercises, I noticed an immediate change in the way how I perceive reality. And noticing what I can do to be more empowered by whichever challenges or obstacles I perceive in my life. Perhaps choosing to be empowered is one of the greatest gifts of this book. And I'll be glad if you also get to experience this and join me for a journey across this book together. You'll be far from an ordinary book reading, but it will be highly experimental, meaning that we're gonna get to do all the processes and much more processes together in these sessions. I'm going to be scheduling 3 sessions a month, about an hour each, and I'll be glad to serve each and one of you in this framework. If you're interested, check out the link in the description below to this program. You can join it by joining the book club tier on my Patreon account. If you have any questions about the book club, perhaps you're curious, you're interested, but you would like to hear something more personally from me or perhaps from other participants, feel free to check my website, the testimonies, or message me directly at contact@ramalunin.com. I'm looking forward to connecting with you all and boarding on this exciting journey in self-realization. Hare Krishna.